Well, welcome to another episode of Whistle Watch. Now this week, I'll be focusing on Van Rensburg's yellow card in the top 14 final. Montpellier winning it for the first time ever. We'll be looking at the new concussion protocols coming in place, and I'll be summarising the summer tours as well, picking my winners. But before then, my favourite part of the week, your Emirates Fans Questions. Adam Buck at Sydney. Adam Buck says, now halfbacks, scrum halves, make up the reduced stature with large voices and personalities. Well, they certainly do. Nick White, the prime example. Oh, you're quite right too. Refereed Nick White many times. Great guy, great player. Oh, but my God, he had a lot to say. Do you get distracted by the banter and instructions coming from them? And what is the best managing technique as a ref? No, you don't get distracted, but sometimes you have to have a quiet word. You also have the 10-yard rule as well, if you want to take them an extra 10 yards. So look, no, usually they were managed by a quiet word. If you had the chance to do one signing, who would you choose? DuPont or Buden Barrett? What, help me on the farm? I think DuPont comes, oh, so does Barrett actually. They come from a farming background, both of them, I think. Could I sign the two? I'd have a scrum half and an outside half then, wouldn't I? If the ref calls ball out, why can't you tackle the 9? Surely if the ball is out, it's open play. What have I missed? Well, if the ball is out and the number 9 has his hands on the ball or is in possession of the ball, then you are allowed to tackle him. What the referee probably means in this instance is that if the scrum half doesn't have his hands, so he's not in possession of the ball, his hand is only touching the ball or something, and he's not in possession of the ball, then you can't tackle him. And there's a little bit of grey area here. It's not in the laws, and this is sometimes what a lot of you viewers find difficult to understand, and I can understand as well. What the referees will be told, they'll be getting together as a group of referees, directed by World Rugby referee manager. They will then discuss these type of scenarios, and then they will come to an agreement, and the protocol will be put in place. But if this happens in the game, this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to referee it. This will be sent out then to all the nations, all the clubs. Unfortunately, sometimes it may not be written into the law book. So nothing says in the law book that you can tackle a flanker who's over the ball, but you can't tackle a number 9. But this is what the referees have agreed on, is that if a number 9 is there and he's not playing the ball, you're not allowed to take the number 9 out of that space. But if it was another player, you would be able to counter ruck him. But the number 9, if the ball is out and he's in possession of the ball, you are allowed to tackle him. But if he's not, then you're not allowed to tackle him. So that is where sometimes some of the grey area comes, and that's what I hope we at Whistle Watch do, explain these scenarios for you. That's it for the fan questions. Now it's time for Whistle Watch. Right, let's cast our eyes around some of the decisions surrounding the world of rugby. Top 14 final, Van Rensburg yellow card. Right, shoulder to the head, yellow card. Now then, it's not direct to the head. Now that doesn't mean that it can't be a red card, even if you're not direct to the head, but then when you go up, the force of the shoulder to the head or the contact to the head afterwards is enough to deem a red card would still be given. But I think, to be fair to the referee on this occasion here, when the tackle is here, it then goes up and makes contact with the head. There's that very minimal force compared to what it would have been if it had been direct to the head. So just remember two key things here. Because the direct contact is not with the head initially, it doesn't mean that it can't be a red card. The referee will take into account the actual force of what happens next, and as well the illegality of, was he sort of shoulder first? Was he making an attempt to tackle but the shoulder hit and then went up? So here I would say it's a fair call by the referee for a yellow card on this occasion. Now then, World Rugby brought in a new protocol, 12 days on the sidelines if you fail a HIA test in the game. So currently a player, even though you may fail the HIA during the game, if you pass the return to play protocols, you can still come back and play the following week. But from now on, if you fail the HIA in the game, you will be an automatic 12 days on the sidelines, even if you do pass the return to play protocols in that period. So important change here. Again, player safety, so important for the game. Very interesting one. A couple of you sent these questions in, which we didn't pick up last week, but since a few people have sent this in, the URC final, great game of rugby as well. the Stormer scrum, the attacking team offside at the scrum. Now, if you look at this here, it originally used to be the offside line for the scrum was the same as a ruck or the hindmost foot. So what they decided to do to bring more space, to have the scrum more as an attacking weapon, not just for the forwards, but also for the backs as well, was to move the offside line back 5 meters. Just like the line out, which is 10 meters, it means both teams have to be back 5 meters. Now what you see here, when the scrum half passes the ball, so when the ball actually leaves the scrum, until it leaves the scrum, the attacking team and the defending team should be back 5 meters. But what happens here, when the ball actually leaves the scrum, the attacking 10 who takes the ball is actually flat. He's on the hindmost foot. He's on that offside line of the hindmost foot, not the offside line 5 meters back. Now, what that means is, it's an unfair advantage here. You know, some may say, well, it's the attacking team, they should have a bit of advantage. Well, the problem is then, if the attacking team is forced to stay back 5 meters, by the time this player receives the ball running at pace, he is then running in, or a player is going to tackle him who's been static. That then could bring in a bit of a safety issue. So on that instance here, now some may say, oh, that's a bit harsh, but the law is that should be a penalty against the attacking side for being offside 5 meters, exactly the way as you see it refereed in the line out, which is 10 meters back. So very lucky to get a try here and not a penalty against them. And congratulations to Holly Davison as well, the first woman to referee a men's international consisting of a 6 nations team. Obviously, Italy playing against Portugal. A hugely exciting game. Busy day for Holly as well. 3 yellow cards, but Holly, congratulations. And I'm sure the first of many to come. Well done. Now then, let's move on to the summer tours. Oh, some exciting times ahead in the next few weeks. I'll summarise the games for you in a bit, and also I'll let you know who I think is going to win. Let's start off with a big one here. Australia against England, out in Australia. Australia, unbelievable, they haven't beaten England since 2010 on Australian soil. England, bit of mixed bag in the 6 Nations. Bit of a loss for Australia. 2 of their main props maybe not playing, out injured for the tournament. It's going to be a big ask for them. Ooh, I wonder, this is going to be a tough one. I think Australia could emerge winners. 2-1, I think, in this series. Right then, New Zealand against Ireland. Oh, they tell you, and this is going to be intriguing. This is going to be so interesting to watch. Ireland beat New Zealand in the autumn. Oh, so listen, expect New Zealand to come back all guns blazing here to avenge that defeat in the autumn. Ireland have not won on New Zealand soil ever. Will they be able to win this series? I don't think so. Will they be able to win for the first time on New Zealand soil? I think they will, and I think it could come in that first test as well. So I'm going to go for New Zealand 2-1 here, but this is going to be so brilliant to watch. Now then, Argentina, Scotland. Now, Scotland with a bit of a mixed bag in the 6 Nations. Started off well, beating England in Murrayfield, but then just fizzled out a bit. Didn't play to the expectation that people are expecting them to be in this year's 6 Nations. They're missing Hogg, they're missing Finn Russell on the tour to Argentina. That could make a huge difference to them because they rely on those 2 players so much. I think this could be a tour that Argentina will win the series. I think Scotland have 2 experienced players missing. Going to be tough for them out there, but I'm going to go Argentina. Could be 3-0 on this one, I'm afraid. Now then, my home country, going out to South Africa. Tough ask for Wales, but we still have a strong squad out there. Whether we'll win the series, I'm not quite sure. But I do think we just may have enough to win the game. So I'm going to go for South Africa, who haven't been on their best since that World Cup, but they're playing on the home soil here now, so expect them to really give a great performance out there. I'm going to go South Africa 2-1 on this one, but Wales, good luck. Well, there we have it, Whistle Watchers. It's been a pleasure to welcome you back to the farm. That's it for this week, but don't worry, I'll be back next week with more as well from this fascinating game of rugby. Keep your questions coming in. I'll see you next week.